Hey friends, it's Asha. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to talk about my favorite books of 2021. My Christmas tree looks very bright in the background. I don't know why. Anyways, yeah, so I'm going to be telling you guys about my favorite books of 2021. It's a gloomy day, so it's a little bit dark in here, but I still think it looks cute. And I'm so excited to share all these books with you. I read way more books than I thought I was going to. My goal was 20 and I read 50, over 50 I want to say. And a lot of these book recommendations I got off of my new favorite app, which is called Likewise, which I'm going to tell you about. So thank you Likewise for sponsoring this video. So a lot of my progress I was able to track on this app, and I was able to get a lot of recommendations from this app. And also my favorite part about it is I'm able to give recommendations, because as you guys know, I love to come on here and share my favorite books with you, tell you books that I've read and all about them. And I can do the same exact thing on Likewise. If anyone's asking for recommendations, you can literally just enter your favorite book, and it just always helps people out, and I think it's so fun. They also have recommendations for podcasts and movies, so if you liked a certain movie, it will recommend more that are similar to that. And it's the same thing with books and podcasts, which I love. You can also create reading resolutions and get a ton of inspiration from the community, and kind of just everyone lifts each other up and continues to motivate each other. You just have to tell the app the genres and books that you liked previously, and they give you a ton of recommendations, which is literally so great, because I know some of you guys get in reading slumps, don't know what to read because you read this amazing book and you don't know what to read after it. And Likewise gives you books that are similar to that amazing book that you just read. I read a lot of Colleen Hoover books, and right when I started reading some of her books, I was kind of in that state where I'm like, well, what do I read after this, because I like it so much. And Likewise gave me some more recommendations. For instance, the book It Ends With Us, I got that idea from Likewise. Many of the books that I'm going to share in today's video, I actually got recommendations from Likewise, and I'm constantly adding things to my to-be-read list just because of this app. Never running out of things to read. They have different groups that you can join, so you can talk with people who love the same books that you do. They have the Today cards, which you can look at, and it gives you different recommendations every single day. They have lists, so you can create a list for books that you want to read in the future, books that you have read, and then you can also ask for recommendations or ask for different things and just talk with the community. I think this app will be very, very helpful for you guys. I've been using this app for such a long time. I started using it actually to get movie recommendations, and then when I started getting into more of reading and stuff, then I was able to use it for that as well. The app is 100% free, and you guys can follow me. The link will be in the description box below. So if you guys want to get amazing recommendations and solve your problems about not knowing what to read next and get out of that reading slump that you've been in, download Likewise. The link will be in the description box below. It also helps out my channel if you go ahead and download it and follow me. My username is Asha_Zapf. And yeah, we can all share our favorite book recommendations, movie recommendations, and podcasts, everything that's on there, and we can talk together. So definitely go give it a download and follow me. Okay, so now on to my favorite books of 2021. Obi will be joining us again, it seems. Hello, Obi. He just loves the sit-down videos. But so a lot of these books I have with me, but some of them I have loaned to like my sister and stuff like that. So I don't have all of them, and a couple of them I read on my Kindle, but I will show you and tell you about them. I've probably talked about, well, I have talked about all these books in videos before, but this is just gonna be morphed together, and pretty much every single one of these is 5-star reads in my opinion. And I love all of them, so I'm very excited to share with you. And all of these books are on my Likewise app as well, because I have saved them all on there in my favorites. So yeah, let's get into it. The first book that I loved from 2021 was Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I don't have this one with me because I loaned it to my sister, but this book was so fun to read. It was my first Colleen Hoover book ever, which is just so monumental because I love her so much. And I loved this book a lot. So this book is about a girl named Tate and a boy named Miles, and they meet in kind of an odd way because Tate is basically moving in with her brother for a short period of time while she's working at the specific place, and Miles is the roommate across the hall. And they know at first that it's not love at first sight, but they do have a little bit of some attraction. They wouldn't consider them friends though or anything like that. Yeah, they have a common undeniable attraction to each each other and they both realize that, but Miles does not want love and they do not want a relationship or anything like that, so that leaves one thing, which I'm sure you can guess, and they basically become hookup buddies, and I'm sure you can see where this leads. But there is a reason why Miles doesn't want to fall in love with Tate, which is hard for him, but there's a reason for it, and this is what we would call his ugly love. And once you find out why, the reason, it's like you literally could not guess it in a million years. And I just love it so much. It's such a great book, and I totally recommend it, especially if it's your first time reading Colleen Hoover. She's just such a good author, and it's such an easy read. But if you are under the age of like 15 or something, maybe ask your parents or something, because it is pretty steamy, I would say that. Okay, the next book that I absolutely loved was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, which is a classic book, in case you guys don't know. This I read at the very beginning of the year, and this version is a Chiltern classic. That's why it's so like pretty, as you can see. But I read this at the beginning of the year, and I think I was like quarantining or something when I read it, and I just laid in my bed and read it every single day, and it made me like so grateful. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but so this book is basically about the March sisters, and their father went away at the Civil War, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, and then their mother, Marmee. It's basically a coming of age story, and they have all of these values and different things that's just really nice, and they're so grateful for so many different things, and there's like a little bit of a love story in here as well. This is not the full version, in case you're wondering, because this is like really small. This is only like the first part of it, but it's really good, and there's also a movie for it. I think it's on Hulu or Amazon Prime Video or something, but it's a really good movie. It has Timothée Chalamet, which I know a lot of people like, so yeah, I really like this book, and I do recommend it. It was super easy read, and I think a lot of people used to read this as like a book for school, like, you know how we're required to read like To Kill a Mockingbird and stuff. This used to be kind of like that. So it's a really good book though. It was definitely one of my favorites of 2021. Okay, so the next book is also a book that I have lent right now to my brother's girlfriend Maddie, and that is The Song of Achilles. I'm sure you have heard about this book somewhere because it is so widely recommended, and this book is amazing. Now let me tell you something, before I got into this book, I did not know I had any interest in Greek mythology. I literally didn't think about it at all, and I went into this book basically knowing nothing about it. That's probably my favorite thing to do, is not know anything about it. Like, I'll get recommended the book and I'll be like, oh, okay, well someone obviously really loves that, and it's similar to something I've read before maybe, or it's a love story, and I'll just go into it without even reading the back cover or anything like that. So yeah, let me tell you about what this is about. The Song of Achilles is basically a modern retelling of the story of the famous warrior Achilles, and then his lover, I always say his name wrong, Patroclus, I think is how you say it. I don't know, I always mix it up in my head, but it's basically a story about him and Achilles and their whole entire story together. It's just such a moving story. I don't even want to tell you too much about it, but if you have ever not even cared about Greek mythology or anything like that, just read this book. I just want you to read it and like trust me on this one. I loved this book so much, and I thought it was just such a good story, the whole entire thing, and I got so interested in it. And this is by Madeline Miller, and another book by her that I loved, which was Circe, and that is a modern retelling of the goddess witch Circe, you know. I don't know, I didn't know anything about this one either. I just knew that it was by Madeline Miller, and I love The Song of Achilles, so I figured that I would read this too, and both of them were in my top for 2021, rated them both 5 stars, absolutely love them. They're just those books that you wish would never end because they're so interesting, and you just like want to keep reading and keep reading, or you even want to savor them and not read it too fast because you know you could read it like super fast and flip through all the pages, but you just want to like savor it. And they're just both so good, and I really loved Circe. Like, I just thought that book was just so good, and it had such good like energy and vibes. I don't know, I really liked it. So both of those books definitely read. Okay, so the next books is actually a part of a series, which is the Selection series. So for this one, I would say that the first 3 here were my 5 stars out of this. Then these I would give like 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5 stars. But I read these at the beginning of the year and I absolutely, well no, it wasn't the beginning of the year, it's like the beginning of summer, and I absolutely loved these so much. Like, these became easily one of my favorite comfort series, book series in general. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into crazy detail just because I have talked about this whole series before in detail in one of my videos throughout the summer, like what I read or something. But I really love this one. If you like any type of princessy vibes, like if you like any movies, if you like Bridgerton, this was what I got recommended so much after I read Bridgerton. This is a young adult series, so it's not as like raunchy or steamy as Bridgerton, but it's so good and so fun to read. Like, I literally read these books so fast. So basically for 35 girls, the selection is the opportunity of a lifetime. And they get this opportunity to escape this life that has been basically laid out for them since birth, because they all have this whole caste system, and I think it goes down to 8, which is like dirt poor, and then 1 is like royalty, and then 2 would be like super rich. You get the whole entire gist of it, but they choose 35 random girls, and then they all go to the palace and get the opportunity to basically become the princess or whatever and marry the king, Prince Maxon, and I don't know if that's how you say his name, but he gets to know all of them and then like selects them and stuff like that, and they spend all this time with each other. But this series is basically about this girl named America, who is the main character of the book, and she has a lover at home, but she gets selected for the selection, and she really wants to help her family out because they are, I think, a 6 or a 5 caste, so they are very low in the caste system and they're pretty poor. The girls who go to the selection do get money for their families, so she definitely wanted to take that opportunity up, and she goes, and her and Maxon basically make this whole deal that they're just gonna form a little alliance and be friends. But you know how stuff like that goes in books, so it doesn't really end up that way, but it's just such a good series altogether. And then obviously I can't tell you too much about the rest of the books because that would expose what happened in the first book, and I seriously just think that you need to read it because it's so good. So the next book was probably my all-time favorite of 2021, which was 1,000 Boy Kisses. I went into this book not even knowing too much about it, and I absolutely loved it. It actually made me sob so hard that I was reading it, and when I was getting to these really sad parts, I literally had to put the book down and stop reading and take some deep breaths, pick it back up, and keep reading again. And anyone that you ask, I recommended this book to my brother's girlfriend, Maddie. She bawled her eyes out, and then Chase's mom, Candy, she also bawled her eyes out too because it's such a good book. So you just need to trust me on all these books, but especially this one. If you take away one thing from this video, it's to read 1,000 Boy Kisses, okay? So it's basically about this girl named Poppy and this boy named Rune, and they grow up together pretty much. They're little, they vow to be best friends forever. And then Poppy gets this adventure, which you'll find out why, to get 1,000 boy kisses. And I don't want to expose too much, but basically sometime Rune has to go away to his home country because he's from like Norway or something like that, and then he comes back. But him and Poppy were supposed to stay in contact the entire time that he was gone because they've been best friends since they were very little, and she breaks the contact, and he is like, what the heck, why would you do that? And he's so upset and completely different. And then they kind of find out what happened and why, and it's just such a moving story that will make you grateful every single day for the life that you live, and it will make you look at life a different way, which is crazy to say that a fiction book or a young adult book could even have that kind of impact on someone, but that is literally how I felt about it, and that's how everyone that I have told to read has also felt about it as well. So I really love this book, and I think you guys would also love it too if you like romance books. So yeah, I wish I could find a book that is so similar to this, but reading this book for the first time is just like something that I will remember forever because I loved it so much. The next 2 books that I'm going to talk about are by none other than the queen herself. We have It Ends With Us, which we read for my family book club in September, I think. and I really love this book. This was like her most popular book, I would say, so this was basically blowing up everywhere, and I loved this book a lot too. It was such an easy read, but also a lot of Colleen Hoover books, I forgot to mention this before when I was talking about Ugly Love, they do deal with some very important topics, so you should make sure to check the trigger warnings before you go ahead and read these books because it could potentially trigger you. So this book is about a girl named Lily and a boy named Ryle, and Lily hasn't always had the best life, but Ryle comes into her life and everything kind of seems too good to be true. So they have this little thing going where they tell these ugly truths, or not ugly truths, naked truths, I think that's what they're called. And he's like, I don't want a relationship, I never have, it's just never been the type of person that I am. But obviously, that's not what happens here. So they have this relationship that seems too good to be true. Everything is going so good. And she gets these questions about her new relationship, and she starts kind of thinking about Atlas Corrigan, who was her first love, the first relationship that she ever had. And he was actually a homeless boy, which she has a really good story about this and everything. It's very interesting. And yeah, he suddenly reappears, and Ryle does not like that too much, and then we kind of see what kind of person Ryle really is, which literally your feelings will go back and forth a million times in this book, like versus Atlas and Ryle, like who you like more and stuff. So yeah, I definitely really like this book, and the cover is also so cute. But I really love this book, and I highly recommend it for anyone who needs a good and easy read. And it's also very important. I think a lot of women should read this book just because there's a lot of very good messages in it. And then the next book is November 9th by Colleen Hoover, which I literally just talked about in my last book video. So if you guys want to have a whole entire synopsis about this one, you can go ahead and check that out because I don't feel like talking about the whole thing again. But this book was very, very good, very easy read. Again, it's Colleen Hoover book, and this is the original cover, which I like so much more than the new cover. Some people might disagree, but... So the last two books I don't have with me, but the one book that I read was on my Kindle, and it's called Archer's Voice, and I think it might be free on the Kindle or I bought it. But this book was probably my second favorite book of 2021. It was such a good book, and I literally also just explained this one kind of recently, but it's such a good love story. I'll kind of sum it up a little bit. There's this guy and his name is Archer, and he does not talk at all, and everyone in the town thinks that he just can't talk and that he's deaf or something like that. But this girl kind of goes in and she's like, I'm like really interested in you and I'm actually attracted to you. I kind of want to figure out what's going on here because I can see that it's more than just you not wanting to talk or being deaf. She like kind of senses that, so she has this odd attraction to him. She decides to figure it out, and you actually find out the true story of why he is the way he is, and their whole love story is just so beautiful because he's just like this quiet guy who's so reserved, and he never lets anyone in until it comes to this girl, which I can't remember her name, that's why I'm not saying it, but I love it so much. So that is that book, and I highly recommend that one too. And then the last book that was one of my favorites was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I also just read in November. So if you guys want to know more about that one, go watch my last book video. I absolutely love this book. It was so interesting. It has kind of like a 50s Hollywood aesthetic because it goes back and telling the story of Evelyn Hugo and her 7 husbands. And yeah, so that is going to be it for this video. Those are all of my favorite books of 2021. So thankful that I was able to read all of these books, and I can't wait to read more in 2022. I've already gotten so many new recommendations on my to be read list on Likewise, so I'm super excited about that. But you guys should definitely go follow me and download that app in the link in the description box below. Again, my username is Asha_Zapf, so make sure you go follow me and we can chat about all your favorite books and more good recommendations there. So I will see you guys in my next video. I love you so much, and also Merry Christmas! Happy holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas.